I want to talk about my Portland property. So this is my one real home run. I've had others who are pretty good, but this is really a home run. It's a 302 unit apartment complex in a B-plus neighborhood. Bought it from the bank in 2011 on a short sale. So basically, short sales and commercials don't always work the same as they do in residential. In this case, the bank called because I'd had another loan with them for another property, and they wanted me to take over the loan and get the current owner out. So they wanted me to basically buy the current owner out. Now, as you know, most of the time you have to work through, with short sales, you work through the owner and you put in the paperwork the banks wants, and then they look at it and decide whether they're going to give you a short sale. Well, in this case, the bank called and wanted me to look at buying these people out. They had a current loan at the time of about $9,250,000, and in that property, 45 units of the 300 units were down. So you had about 15% of the units down. And they were down because the people who owned it couldn't really afford to fix them up. And so they've been cannibalizing these down units to take out heat and toilets and sinks and lighting fixtures and you name it. And they were taking things out of it so that they could... they didn't have more down than they needed to. So these 45 units were down units. So each of these 45 units needed about $12,000 in work per unit. Now I need to say here that this $12,000 wasn't just for the down units. It also included some money to upgrade some of the common spaces and stuff like that, and some basic other improvements. So it was going to cost about $850,000 to turn these units around and to get the property turned around. So I negotiated with the bank back and forth for about 6 months. So the bank and I worked with the seller, and I bought the property for $8 million, or about $26,500 a unit, which is a phenomenal buy in this area of Portland. All right. So the bank shorted the loan by over $1 million, and the bank gave me a loan of $8.4 million. I brought in $500,000 cash for the rest of the repositioning and closing. As in my little West Virginia property, the bank oversaw the rehab. I'm on the other coast, and it took about 9 months to get all the work done. So here's the total. Here's what it looks like today. The price was $8,900,000 plus the closing costs. The value in 2016, I haven't really updated this for over a year, was $13,500,000. In 2018, the average cost of apartments in Portland is about $1,000. So the average rent that's supposed to be is about $1,000. That's up about 25% since I bought it. So the value in March of 2018 is $17 million about. So in 7 years, I've added $8 million in value, and that's the 90% increase in 7 years. After all the expenses are paid, including the debt and the reserves, the monthly cash flow is about, the yearly cash flow was about $541,000 a year, or about $45,000 a month, or $150 per month per unit. So my current cash on cash return, remember I brought in $500,000, is more than 108% return on my money each year. And in Portland right now, properties are currently selling for a 7 to 7.5 cap rate in the area where I have. So I don't really know. At the end of 2017, the cash flow was more, and it's only going to go up from there, I think. So this is a pretty good deal by anybody's by anybody's estimation, I think. All right, so let's go on here for a minute. All right. So here's my experience of 20 years, for whatever it's worth. What most people want to learn in commercial real estate is how to acquire properties. They really want to know about acquisitions. But having said that, in a lot of ways, acquisition is the easy part. What stops a deal from happening is generally the financing in one way or the other. And what generally causes new owners to lose a property to the bank is management or lack thereof and not knowing how to run a large business. Hence, you need to know just not how to acquire a property, which are what we're talking about, markets, the acquisition, including making offers, due diligence, and closings. You also have to know about how to raise private money and syndications so that you don't get into trouble with the Securities and Exchange Commission. So you have to know how to raise money. Most deals don't close because people can't raise the money or they can't get the financing. You have to know how to manage a property and manage property managers after you buy. A great property manager can take a property that has a lot of problems and turn it around and make it a beauty. A not so good property manager can take a property that looks nice and turn it into a dog. You have to know how to manage rehabs and upgrades, and you have to know how to manage the business. Most commercial properties are $1 million up or close to it. So you are basically buying $1 million business. So you really do need to know how to manage a business. So I want to talk just a couple minutes about funding your deals. A lot of the ways that we raise money is going to trigger the Securities and Exchange Commission. But you know what? That's also true for you who are borrowing private money for single-family houses. You need to know what those regulations are and what those regulations are, what the workarounds are, what are the exceptions, and which ones you need to use. You need to know the rules for raising private money, what you can and can't say to potential investors. You need to know about the importance of sponsors in commercial real estate and where you're finding them. You need to know about the pros and cons of signing for debt or not, known as recourse or non-recourse loans, and the types of loans from institutions that you can get and when to use what. So as we talk later in other programs or classes, we are going to talk a lot about the rules and how you actually fund deals, how you make sure you are staying on the right side of federal laws. And it's critical to your success in the long run. Acquiring real estate without understanding how to fund your deals can really cause problems. It can also, if you know what those rules are, you can find it much easier to find the money you need for your deals. Okay, the importance of management. This is the other big piece that we talk about. For me, managing property managers and understanding the importance of management is critical to my being able to hold these properties for a long time. Otherwise, they end up going under, you giving them back. Management is key. And so in some of our classes and some of the other things we talk about management and managing properties for basically an entire day. And that's going to include how you find and hire the right management team for your type of property, How do you know if the property is on right track? And if management is doing what it's need to do? And that comes from setting up your performance, what you expect it to do, from performance measures, from financial reports, from setting a budget and managing to the budget. And you need to know how to set the requirements and how to read financial and budget reports and how to monitor performance. So I think that is every bit as important as learning how to buy something correctly. So I want to talk to you just a little bit about how we've worked with students and others in the past and also currently. So we have used and worked with JV partners. These are people who bring in money to the deal, but they also are partners in that they help make the decisions and running the property. That is the nature of a JV partnership, is that everybody shares the work, including the students, and they help make decisions on the property. We have had cases where students who have brought in money to the deal, and they've earned equity in the property by bringing in money, and they've learned as well. We've had people who have not had money to bring into the deal, but they were wanting to learn, and we let them do some of the work, and so they learned and earned experience. We also encourage and have had people who are lenders who have money to put in deals to come in to the classes and to work with us so that they learn what makes a good deal and what they should be looking for in a deal before they invest their money. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about here, kind of just before we wrap up, this is next to the last slide, is learning how to run a business. Talked a little bit about most of these properties are $1 million or more. A lot of them you're using other people's money. You need to know how to run these businesses, and that includes things like tax advantages, how you can use the tax advantages to save $20,000 to $50,000 in taxes on depreciations or losses. What entities do you use to protect yourself and your investors, and what are the rules to keep within the law? How did you manage bank accounts, keeping good records? Other things not on this slide that are equally as important is when do you have somebody on payroll and when are they a 1099? How do you manage payroll for staff? How do you understand communications and set up communication systems? How do you build performance measures so that you don't have to pay too much attention, or you can know at a quick glance how a property is doing? So that is equally critical. So if you are interested in kind of learning more, kind of going forward, here are some of the things to think about that I'd like you to just think about as you're trying to make a decision whether you go forward or whether this is for you or this isn't for you. You are going to use the same skills and knowledge that you're going to learn here in buying smaller properties. A lot of it you can use to buy single-family houses that you're going to keep as rentals. I would not take on larger properties without help. The main reason for that is all of the due diligence and the buyer beware, and just the amount of money that you are putting at risk. You need to learn as much as you can before you start taking on some of these larger properties. You should be thinking about whether if you want to do this, that you need to work with people who've already done this and who have a proven track record. Probably find a mentor or a coach, or at least somebody to whom you can ask questions and get them answered, and that you can be comfortable that the answer they're giving you is probably correct. So we've done classes for 8 years, but we're moving to an online class through various webinars, as it's too much for basically a 1 to 2 day class that we do every a couple times a year, once a year, something like that. Learning only about acquisitions leaves people vulnerable to getting in trouble with raising money and private money. And it leaves you vulnerable for not managing property managers, and it can cause your great investment to tank. So I'm hoping that we'll be hearing more from you in the future, and if not, we're going to provide you with some information where you are welcome to email and ask questions, and we'll get back with you as we can. Hope you've enjoyed this. Okay, we've talked for a couple hours now about some of who we are and what we do, and you've seen a couple of information about some of our the deals we've done. And so now I want to talk a little bit about if you think you might want to know more or work with us a little bit, what some of those opportunities are. I want to talk just a little bit about what we're doing and how we think that is significantly different from what other people who are teaching commercial or multifamily investing are doing. Number one is that commercial investing is a world different than residential investing. And there is a lot to it. Some people may want to see if this is something that may be for them. But most of the time, most of the people who teach this out there, it's a big commitment of both time and money. Most people who are teaching commercial or multifamily investing are doing a boot camp and or kind of webinar kind of format where where you're buying the entire class, and they typically start at $2,000 and go up from there. So you may find a few that are $1,800 or $1,900, but they're pretty expensive. And right now, a lot of people are struggling with both time and money. And so we are interested in trying something a little bit differently. One of the other things that most people who are teaching commercial investing are doing is that they just teach you about acquisitions. They teach you how to find markets. They teach you a little bit about how to find a deal, get it under contract, do some due diligence, and close. And that is incredibly important for sure, but it is not the entire world that you need to know about if you're going to become a commercial investor. So a lot of these people most of them are pretty darn good. They do a lot of commercial investing, and they have good classes. But they also, if they teach things other than acquisition, they are either going to hit it briefly, or they're going to ask you to sign up for another class. And typically the other classes that go along with this are how do you raise money and what are the rules related to it? And then how do you manage the property once you have it? We think that all of this is one big family. It's one big topic. And you can't talk about acquisitions without talking about how do you raise the money to buy it, and how do you communicate with investors, what's legal and what's not. And for sure, you can't talk about buying a property without thinking very hard about how you're going to manage it. Over the years, I have really come to the belief that while it is really important to buy the property right, it is equally important, if not more important, that you manage it right. And that means that if you don't manage it right, you can lose money on this very expensive investment. Over time, if you are managing properties correctly, rents go up, you improve on the property, and it becomes worth more and more. And so the property increases in value, and that grows the wealth for you and your family. If you don't manage it right, you can lose a very expensive investment. So I think, and we basically teach a lot about management. You also need to know how to manage a business, how to create and manage a business. Even the cheap small properties are $1 million or $2 million these days. And so if you don't learn how to run a business and what the basic rules are, you can lose that very expensive investment for you and your investors. And that is never a good thing. Most of the people who are teaching commercial investing, like we said before, they are teaching it so that you're buying the entire class. And then you are coming into a boot camp or going to a live streaming kind of class. And you are have a whole lot of information come at you in 3 or 4 days most of the time. Most of these teachers don't let you test out the class before you pay for the whole thing, to see if it is actually for you, if commercial investing is actually for you, if this mentor or this teacher is actually for you. So we have tried to figure out how we can address that in a way that is not very expensive when you are starting out in this. There is a lot to learn in commercial investing, and it is really hard to grasp it all in just a 3 or 4 day span where you're talking to where you're part of a boot camp or things. It's just, there's a lot that you retain, but there's a lot more that you don't. So when we were putting together what we're going to offer you, we were trying to think about how do we address some of these issues. And so let me tell you a little bit about what we've come up with. What we are going to be offering is a subscription model. And this is a model where what we are doing is we're charging a very small amount once a month. And as long as you stay with us, that small amount will be taken out every month. We have created about 60 hours of videos with all of the attendant documents that go along with it. And what we are going to be doing is we are going to be providing some of those every month to you at a small fee. What that does, we think, is it allows you to learn this business over time. Each of the modules or each of the classes that we're providing has information, and then it has tasks or things that you can or should be doing to grow and build your business for commercial real estate. This subscription model offers you support, support each step of the way. So part of that support is a private Facebook page where you and other customers of ours, other students of ours, meet and can ask each other questions. It offers once a month, we are doing conference calls that are for you, where you can bring in deals, your deals, or potential deals, where you can ask questions, where you can, we can help you with anything you're having issues with. And along with that comes an email service where you can write an email if you have questions, as many as you like, and we will get back to you within 24 hours as long as you are a student of ours. Okay. The way we have set this course up is that we start out with a lot of video classes that teach you the basics of both acquisition, raising money, managing property managers, so managing your property, and then building a business. What we can't easily do in these online classes is actually help you put all of this together in a practical way where you're actually working through a deal. So part of what we're offering with this subscription model is, after you have listened to and looked at most of these classes online, then we are adding to that a 4-day boot camp that is really face-to-face, and it is focused on the practical of taking a deal and actually walking through all aspects of it, from finding the markets you want to look in to acquiring the property, raising money, managing the property, and then building your business. That 4 days is all practical. It is, the great majority of it is working with a small group and actually going through and doing the steps, working through a deal. Before you would come to that 4-day boot camp, you would need to look at and listen to most, if not all, of these modules. In the boot camp, we are not going back over and going over the material that is in the videos. So we are starting with the premise that you already know a lot of this, and we are focusing on the practical to kind of put it together and to do some of the tasks that would allow you to kind of see how it all fits together. You're also becoming part of a commercial real estate investing community. Like we said, the Facebook page and the webinars that we do occasionally and the monthly conference calls, those are all part of a group. The Facebook page is where you can talk to and meet other students. We sometimes post deals up there that are too small for us, that our other people can say they've run into something. We are not vetting those deals. That's up to you to do that. But we do sometimes put stuff up there. You can ask questions of each other. We also post once or twice a week information that you might find useful. And everything from what's going on in the markets to getting financing to little things we learn about management, etc. So what is included in what we're offering? We're offering over 60 hours of videos in 36 modules. And those modules or classes talk everything from goal setting to acquisitions, closing on deals, due diligence, managing your properties. So we're trying to put everything you need to become a successful commercial real estate investor in one place. Obviously, nothing takes the place of actually doing it and having some experience, but we think this is a place to start where you have everything you need to get started. The information is available to you in videos. It's also available in audio recordings. If you happen to be a an audio learner, and they're available in transcripts if you want to read it. We are having, like I already mentioned, monthly conference calls to get your questions answered. We will be doing webinars occasionally, and those webinars will be on various little topics where you can also ask questions and answers. And we will be recording those and posting them up to the student website so you can access all of the webinars we've done over time. We will provide email support. So we understand that conference calls once a month is not enough if you have something you're really trying to accomplish or you have a deal that's cooking. And so we are also offering email support as long as you're part of the group, and we will get back to you within 24 hours. Okay. So let's also talk about some of the specifics that are in this that I think are worth mentioning. So I've been investing in commercial real estate for about 20 years now. And every time I find something or something happens that I didn't know and or that caught me by surprise, I add that information to my due diligence checklist. This checklist is 20 years of my experience in what do I need to look for before I actually buy a property. And it is about 20 pages. It has everything you could possibly, well, I won't say everything because I'm always adding to it, but it has most of what you are going to run into as you start looking to buy properties. It has people you may need to talk to, questions you need to get answered. It has informations about the market. It has informations about the property. It has asks about information that you may need to understand about taxes and insurance and the leases of the people who are in your property, lots and lots and lots of things. Not everything is apropos to every deal, but what it is there is for you to read down and say, yes, I need this. Yes, I need this. No, I don't need this. And then that information is transferred over to other forms, which are your due diligence or your site visit forms, information that you need to get answered so that you have all of the information you need to know if this is a deal you really want. This is really important in commercial. In residential, there are a lot of consumer protection laws. Those don't exist in commercial. So while a seller or a broker can't lie to you, they also don't have to disclose. So it is up to you to find those things that they don't want to tell you or haven't told you so that you are a savvy buyer. We've also developed, James has actually developed an underwriting spreadsheet. So part of what I started in this business before there was a lot of, kind of Excel workbooks and stuff like that, where you could build a lot of these electronic forms for you. And so I started out with paper and pencil forms on basically how to analyze properties, how your pro formas to figure out what you need to do with your business plan to make sure that the property is going to make money. And then James took those forms and he created electronic spreadsheets, an electronic workbook that includes everything from initial analysis to the pro formas to the exits to make sure that you can get out of this if that's what you want to do. We still start out teaching you how to do the paper and pencil form, and then you move into the electronic. If you put the wrong information in the wrong place in an electronic form, it can really ruin your day. So we start out teaching you the paper and pencil way to analyze things, and then you're going to move into where you can use the electronic form, which is a lot easier and a lot faster. The other thing that we think is pretty great about what we're offering is the Passive Cash Flow for Life private Facebook group. That has students in it, they ask questions of each other. We're in there, we're monitoring things or answering questions. And we are also, other students can help you answer. People have found potential partners in there. They found potential deals. It is just for students, for our students. So we don't let brokers and other people into that who might be posting a lot of things. But if other students find a deal that they don't want, or that they may be looking for somebody to partner with them, they can post those in there. So it is strictly a group for our students and for us to try and help each other out. All right. So what do you do? What are you paying for all of this? All right. So, and what do you get for all of this? So we're really trying to make this as much of a no-brainer for you as possible to see if this is for you. So we are offering this at a subscription of $97 a month. For that $97, you're going to get 3 modules. So in the first month, you would get the first 3 modules and all of the written materials and forms that go along with that. And that includes some tasks for you to do. All right. So you get 3 modules every month. And I said there was 36 modules. So at the end of the year, you have seen them all. And it's about $1,200 over the year for all of them. That is really a bargain price. I don't know any commercial instructor, teacher out there who is offering this for $1,200 a month, $1,200 a year, I'm sorry, for $1,200. That, don't forget, includes acquisitions. It includes raising money. It includes managing property managers, and it includes information on how do you begin to build your business. It breaks it up over a number of months so that you have a chance to listen to them, learn it, and kind of practice with the little things so it isn't so much information overload. You can get started for $97 and get the first modules. So if you are not sure if commercial real estate is for you, right, then this is a way for you to try it out. Try it for $97 and see if it works for you. And if it doesn't, it's not really been a big loss. If you know that you're interested in doing this, you can, when you go to the passivecashflowforlife.com site, you can also find that there's an option for you to just sign up and pay for the whole thing if that's what you are interested in doing. And that includes all of the modules plus the 4-day boot camp. The $97 a month, you can keep doing that. And in a year, you've got it all. And then you can still come to the boot camp for the price of the boot camp, which is really a whole lot cheaper than what you're going to find if you go to any other 4-day boot camp. But remember, that boot camp is based on the practical. So you have to have listened to the modules first. Right? If we understand that people want to see if this is for them before they would commit. So we are also offering that up to the first 3 months. So if you try this out for 2 months, say, you've gotten 6 modules and looked at them and decided this is something you want to do, you can go back into the Passive Cash Flow for Life and you can sign up for the entire 12 months plus the boot camp, and we will give you the same price we would if you wanted to sign up for the whole thing right now. So you have up to 90 days to decide if you want to just go ahead and buy all of the modules and the boot camp and pay for it then. We think that's about as fair as we can get, where you are only risking $97 to see if this is for you. And for that, you get the first 3 modules and access to all of the things we talked about back up here. You get access to all of this for the time you are involved in this. There is no requirement that you stay. So if you figure out this is not for you after a month, you can just let us know and you can cancel your subscription, and no harm, no foul. So we really hope that you will give this a try and see if this might not be for you. And I really look forward to you signing up and us meeting you on some of these webinars and emails. And I hope to see you soon.